Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this online service with the Eno River Unitarian Universalist Fellowship. I'm Reverend Deborah Cayer. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, whatever your race, your gender, wherever you are on your spiritual journey, whomever you love, welcome. If you're new to this community, especially if you're visiting us for the first or second time, I invite you to maybe say hello, put your name in the chat box, and so that people can give you a warm ERUUF welcome. And there in the chat box also, you'll find a link that'll help you find out more about us if you haven't already. We know most people have by the time they get here, but that information's there. I invite everyone to a virtual coffee hour right after this service. Information will appear on your screen at that time. And just a reminder that all of our programs are online, and worship is too. So our campus is closed as we do our part to help slow the spread of the coronavirus. This summer on Sunday morning, we have Odyssey, a program online where members share their spiritual journeys. And Children's Chapel is at 9:30, and then there's this service at 10:30. We also have some terrific offerings during the week. Coming up in August, our pastoral care team is going to offer Caring Conversations. That's an online drop-in group on Tuesdays from 11:30 to 12:30. All are welcome. You can read more about that in e-news and online, along with some other really great programs that you can find out about. Our service this morning is led by three longtime ERUUF members, Kristi Chilton, Pam DiLavore, and Nancy Powell. They sing together as a group called Trilight, and they're going to introduce themselves as they share their thoughts and words and music this morning about the oneness of life and how we are one and how we can move forward through all that we find ourselves in together. Our tech team this morning is Jenny Jolly and Michelle Sager. They're working behind the scenes. And before we begin before we continue with our service, since this service has mostly been pre-recorded, I want to take a moment now to lift up the joys, sorrows, and milestones that normally we would share later in the service. So this morning, we're holding in our hearts Gabrielle Weinberger, whose mother died in Germany on July 6th, surrounded by family. Brent Bissett's mother, Julia, who's recovering at home after major surgery, and David Tucker, whose mother, Rosa Lee, was recently hospitalized. She's back at home as well. So now let's take a breath and center ourselves as we continue with the prelude, We Are One, sung by Trilight.
Smiling face, outstretched hand, through disputes small and grand, we will lay down our guns. We are one. In the rage through the war, we have shared pain before. In our grief, when it's done, we are one, we are one. Where the earth touches sky, we are born, we all die. Where the clear waters run, we are one, we are one. When the light touches land, over sea, over sand, when each day has begun, we are one. As the rock wears away and the tide rolls and sways, by the moon, by the sun, we are one, light in our hearts, in the drum. We are one. In the birth of a child, through the fierce and the mild, in our daughters and sons, we are one, we are one. Where the earth touches sky, we are born, we all die. Where the clear waters run, we are one, we are one. In our daughters and sons, we are one, we are one.
Our opening words this morning come to us from Unitarian Universalist minister Rod Richards. We who gather here in this tender and anxious and confusing time, we have been awash in a sea of information and misinformation and disinformation. And this information that we seek is simply so that we may make wise decisions about how we respond and learn how we hold one another when we cannot hold one another, and decide how we can be when we can't be together. What is this we face? How best do we respond? And why is this happening? The why, the why, the why. And why do those who suffer so, suffer most, always suffer most from what we now face? Why? And what can we do for those who are most at risk, most vulnerable all the time, and now again? And how do we respond? And how do we hold one another when we can't hold one another? And how do we stay together and stick together and worship together when we can't be together? Yet here we are, we are here together.
Our chalice lighting words come from Gary Kowalski. He says, we light our chalice with face to face our challenges, with love that casts out fear, with hope to trust tomorrow, and to accept this day as the gift that it is, a reason for rejoicing. Our service continues with the first hymn. You can sing along. This is a traditional song, Wade in the Water.
Children, wade in the water.
Good morning. I am Nancy Powell, and the theme of our service today is moving forward together. We will talk more about that later in our reflections during the service. Now is the time for meditation. Today I will be doing a reading of 1 Corinthians 13 for the meditation from the New Testament of the Christian Bible. Following that will be a moment of silence, and then Trilight will sing This Love Will Carry by Dougie MacLean, a Scottish singer-songwriter. And now please prepare for the meditation by closing your eyes if you're willing and taking a deep breath to settle in. If I speak in the tongues of mortals and of angels, but do not have love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, and do not have love, I am nothing. If I give away all my possessions, and if I hand over my body so that I may boast, but do not have love, I gain nothing. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love is not envious or boastful or arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice in wrongdoing, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will come to an end. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will come to an end. For we know only in part, and we prophesy only in part. But when the complete comes, the partial will come to an end. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put aside childish ways. For now we see in the mirror dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part. Then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. And now faith, hope, and love abide, these three, and the greatest of these is love.
It's a thin line that leads us and keeps us all from shame. Dark clouds quickly gather along the way we came. There's fear out on the mountain and death out on the plain. There's heartbreak and in the shadow of the flame, but this love will carry, this love will carry me. I know this love will carry me, carry me.
As I said earlier, the theme of our service is moving forward together. As is abundantly clear, there are a multitude of issues and problems in need of healing. both physically and emotionally, more than I can remember in my lifetime. We at ERUUF cannot possibly hope to solve all of them, but what we can do is find something that draws upon our heart and that we are physically and mentally able to do. This may be something different and appropriate for each person. I have done a few small things since we went into isolation to prevent the spread of COVID-19. I've helped deliver meals for Durham Public Schools to students and families who depend upon these for their meals. I donated most of the money from my stimulus check to the Organization for Undocumented Workers, who are getting nothing from the government, as well as contributing to the local TV station's food drive. And I have joined an online group called A Conversation About Race, and am reading and learning from this group. Although we aren't able to be together physically right now, all these involve working with other people to get something done. And these are a variety of people, not just those who are like me. Many of you have done much more than me, including protest and mask making. I do have a sewing machine, but I'm not sure it still works since I haven't used it in several years. My main point is find something you love and work for it. We can each do our small part and work together to bring about healing in these turbulent times. I will close with this quote from Richard Rohr. I believe that the combination of human action from a contemplative center is the greatest art form, one that takes our whole lives to master. When action and contemplation are united, we have beauty, symmetry, and transformation, lives and actions that heal the world by their very presence. And now Trilight is going to sing another song. This one is called Storm Coming by Ruth Moody, who is with the Wailing Jennies. I'm not sure what Ruth had in mind when she wrote the song in 2009, but we've definitely had a storm in 2020, and I think there's more to come.
When that storm comes, don't run for cover. When that storm comes, don't run for cover. When that storm comes, don't run for cover. No, don't run from the coming storm. No, there ain't no use in running. When that rain falls, let it wash away. When that rain falls, let it wash away. When that rain falls, let it wash away. Let it wash away that falling rain, the tears and the trouble. When those lights flash, you hear that thunder roar. When those lights flash, you hear that thunder roar. When those lights flash, you hear that thunder roar. Will you listen to that thunder roar and let your spirit soar? When that love calls, will you open up the door? When that love calls, will you open up the door? When that love calls, will you open up the door? You gotta stand on up and let it in. You gotta let love through your door. When that storm coming, yeah, don't run for cover. When that storm comes, Don't run from the coming storm, 'cause you can't keep a storm from coming. You can't keep a storm from coming, no, no. You can't keep a storm from coming. You can't keep a storm from coming, no, no. You can't keep a storm from coming. Coming, coming, coming. Because our hair is long, you know we've got to find a way to bring some understanding. Picket lines and picket signs, don't punish me with brutality. Talk to me so you can see what's going on. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? Tell me what's going on. What's going on? Tell me what's going on. What's going on? Mother, mother.
What's going on indeed? That song was written 50 years ago during a period of social unrest similar to today. The Vietnam War, police violence against protesters, and other social causes all inspired the writing of a song that would become one of the most famous protest songs of all time. Fast forward to 2020, and we are living through a multi-front war. The pandemic, the mind-boggling extent of racial injustice in this country, a collapsing economy, and a political landscape that is as foreign and as frightening as any we have lived through, have left most of us feeling dazed, angry, and shaken to the core. When Pam and Nancy and I first began planning for this service, we thought we would build it around a theme of our seventh principle, respect for the interdependent web of existence of which we are a part. That was before the world turned upside down. But today, I want to go back to that message. We are truly one. Whether you call this interdependent web God, or energy, or spirit, or stardust, or all of the above, it simply is. Everything we do and everything we don't do affects the larger whole. Our 44th president understood this. Before and after his election, Barack Obama spoke often of unity and hope. Obama's choice of inaugural poet reflected his belief that this country belongs to all of us and not just some of us. Richard Blanco was the first immigrant, the first Latino, the first openly gay person, and the youngest person to ever be selected as inaugural poet. The poem he wrote for the occasion is entitled, One Today. The following reading is an excerpt. One sun rose on us today, kindled over our shores, peeking over the Smokies, greeting the faces of the Great Lakes, spreading a simple truth across the Great Plains, then charging across the Rockies. One light waking up rooftops. Under each one, a story told by our silent gestures moving behind windows. All of us as vital as the one light we move through. The same light on blackboards with lessons for the day, equations to solve, history to question, or atoms imagined. The I have a dream, we all keep dreaming. Or the impossible vocabulary of sorrow that won't explain the empty desks of 20 children marked absent today and forever. Many prayers, but one light breathing color into stained glass windows, life into the faces of bronze statues, warmth onto the steps of our museums and park benches as mothers watch children slide into the day. One sky toward which we sometimes lift our eyes tired from work, some days guessing at the weather of our lives, some days giving thanks for a love that loves you back, sometimes praising a mother who knew how to give, or forgiving a father who couldn't give what you wanted. We head home, through the gloss of rain or weight of snow, or the plum blush of dusk, but always home. Always under one sky, our sky. And always one moon like a silent drum tapping on every rooftop and every window of one country. All of us, facing the stars. Hope, a new constellation, waiting for us to map it, waiting for us to name it together. Our next song is by Joe Jenks, an award-winning singer-songwriter on the international folk scene. He is known for his performances of musical beauty, social consciousness, and spiritual exploration. Here is Lady of the Harbor.
From far away and distant lands, the tempest tossed with hopeful hearts and calloused hands reach for the let my children in. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor. Now we're rocking down the borders and we're filling up the jails, and we say they don't belong. How conveniently do we forget that we've all come to sing the same sweet song. Will the dream survive the strain? Will huddled masses have a chance to learn its sweet refrain? Or will we fall back to our fears and turn our backs against the lady of the harbor? And she welcomes them with open arms. She says, let my children in. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor. Shine on, shine on, oh you lady of the harbor. Oh you lady of the harbor.
Our ministry is online these days, but our connection is still person to person, heart to heart, group to group, action to action. Your generous contributions fund the programs of this community and our actions in the larger community. If you would like to make a contribution to our general fund, you can go online right now, and you can do that through the link in the chat box. You can do that through the secure portal on our website. You could do that however you do it, monthly or regularly, as you've signed up to do. We thank you for your generous support, and we are going on together. And now Trilight will sing Heal the World.
Hello friends, my name is Pam DiLavore. The last song we heard is called Heal the World. It was written by Michael Jackson, who recorded it in 1991. We were really happy that we had a small group of ERUUF's children sing the last chorus with us. I'm speaking with you today from my home study, which should more appropriately be called my junk room. Every time something comes into this house that doesn't have a clear place to belong or doesn't have a function as part of my daily routine, I stick it in this room. When the pandemic shutdown began, I thought it might be a good time for me to try to clear some of this stuff up. But it was an overwhelming mess. I would come in here, pick something up, look at it, put it back down, or maybe just stack up some boxes in an effort to clear a pathway to the closet door. I was generally doing okay though, and then we learned about the horrific way in which Ahmaud Arbery was run down and gunned down in the street. And then Breonna Taylor was shot dead by police in the middle of the night while she was asleep in her own bed. Then George Floyd was murdered in cold blood in broad daylight by police officers who knew that there were videos being made of them at the time. And then Rayshard Brooks was shot in the back as he was running away from a police officer with whom he had just had a long and non-confrontational interaction. The entire world was overwhelmed with the grief and the pain and the anger and the horror. I had a little loop playing in my brain that said, I've got to do something, I've got to do something. But I had no idea what to do. I was stuck. Until Anne Ringland organized a little opportunity for people to stand up and speak out on the side of Garrett Road, standing in front of ERUUF. So I made my Black Lives Matter sign and I took it in my mask and went out to Garrett Road. At first it was great being out there, seeing friends I hadn't seen for a long time, watching everybody drive by and wave and honk their horns, even the one person who yelled out, "Y'all need to go home." I thought, well, at least we invaded his comfort zone and made him think about this for 1 minute today. But after a while, I turned to Linda Brooks, who was standing about 6 feet away from me, and said, "What are we doing? Are we really accomplishing anything out here?" Linda reminded me that this is the first time that we have heard the phrase systemic racism being used broadly across all different kinds of people, across government, business leaders, civic leaders, and ordinary white people who often don't think about these things. I remembered a quotation that I particularly like that came from the Talmud, the collection of centuries worth of Jewish scholarly writings. It said something to the effect of, you are not obligated to complete the work, but you are not exempt from trying. I thought, oh yeah, and I let go of this arrogant idea that I had to personally do something to fix things, and instead tried to think about ways that I could join with other people to just keep trying. So I'm out there every Saturday afternoon from 5 to 5:30 in front of ERUUF with my signs, and I am continuing to donate financial assistance to charitable organizations both locally and internationally that are fighting against poverty and racism. And I'm looking for ways to continue helping my neighbors and supporting our beloved community. And I have 2 empty boxes. We're not obligated to finish the work. We have to keep trying. We're going to sing together one last time this morning. This is a song by Janice Stanfield, who is a white singer-songwriter and activist who collaborates with people all around the world. She has written, "I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do." Please rise in body or spirit and sing with us.
I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world needs all the good that I can do. I cannot do all the good that the world needs, but the world but the world needs all the good I can do.
Our closing words this morning are from the Talmud. Do not be daunted by the enormity of the world's grief. Do justly now. Love mercy now. Walk humbly now. You are not obligated to complete the work. Neither are you free to abandon it. Do justly now. Go in peace, friends.